Hello and welcome back, everybody, to
Not fighting.
and today is well, it's not the normal day that we record the podcast. We don't have like a normal day that we record the podcast, I guess.
No, I mean it was like Fridays, like Friday evenings, because then it would give me time. But
now the government lets us go outside like adults.
Things are changing. We can go to the beach and lay on the beach as of today. And I didn't do it, is it today? Yesterday. And I haven't been yet, and it kind of bothers me, but I've been busy because...
Better go, otherwise they might not let you go again.
I know, I fear.
Fingers crossed, everybody. Thanks, government.
But, yeah, there's a lot going on. Things are starting to open back up. I feel like my schedule is even getting busier, getting back to some normal training, teaching.
It's nice. It's nice to be able to...
It's still kind of weird, though.
It's nice, and it's funny... now I'm getting a chance to start to talk to more people as they've kind of been cooped up. And, it's affected this kind of opportunity. I guess look at it as an opportunity to kind of like be alone with yourself and be, by yourself at home. Like it's affected a lot of people differently. Some people were depressed at first and got used to it. And then I know some people that were really excited about this at first. And then as things went on, they got a little bit more depressed.
Yeah. I think it's going to be kind of weird for people to get back to a normal life. Like, even though we're happy that things are opening up and, like, we can get back into our normal routine, I think it's going to be a little bit of a shock for people to have to go back to the busy schedules that,
govern our lives in a lot of ways.
Because it's going to have to be that way soon.
And I think, like, if you're a single person... I mean, you and I, luckily enough, like, we're both best friends and also husband and wife. So it's like pretty great. We get
to hang out with my best friend all day.
All the time.
Okay.
Now, but if you're a single person, like, this really affects your dating life, right? And not only that, like, it affects...
Hopefully you like your roommates.
If you have roommates. Like, imagine, those that don't live in California where you don't have to have a roommate. Like, man, it's pretty isolated.
Yeah. I don't know how I would handle that. I would not do well. I need to be social.
And so that got us kind of talking about this a little bit. So with people kind of like getting back to normal, single people are going to be looking to mix it up. Get in the mix, as they say. And it begs the question of like, should you be looking at jiu-jitsu? Yeah,
should you be mixing it up inside the academy? Which you guys are probably like, oh, but you guys are dating and you guys are both, are you guys dated and it worked out for you? So obviously you guys think
we didn't meet at jiu-jitsu. So like
we didn't meet at jiu-jitsu.
Without having going into our origin story, really, we didn't meet at jiu-jitsu. I started jiu-jitsu about a year before you did.
Yeah, when we had been dating for about a year and a half when you started training jiu-jitsu, and then and then a year later he got me into it. And that's like another thing too, is like there's a lot of do I get my spouse or my girlfriend into jiu-jitsu
or boyfriend
or and some people are like no, this is my thing, like I don't want them. And then other people are like, I've been trying to get my significant other into training, and I really want them to do it because you're so excited about it. And it can be really great. And then just be careful because your spouse or girlfriend, boyfriend, they might get better than you and be better at it than you.
Yeah. I mean, in my experience, they do. So careful. But no, I think it, like my answer to that question is always similar to my answer about the dating one, which is, with a lot of things in life, it depends. There's nuance. But I would say like, the general advice that you hear, I think, is fairly accurate. And it's, I know you've taught women's classes before and you've given the advice of.
Yeah, like it's not a good idea to like just start dating, inside the academy. Always. It's not always a good idea. I think that's the thing is like you have to be careful and you have to know it's like you have to go into the situation knowing that this could end, like this might not work out, like we might not be together forever. And I know that when you first start dating, you're like, oh, I'm so in love, like this person is so great and blah blah blah, and like you have like all of that going on, like the new love, and you think it's gonna last, and it doesn't always. So if you can look at yourself and you can say, I'm mature enough, like maybe look at the past relationships you've had and say, can I still be friends with that person, or can I be cordial with those people? okay, then maybe you can date inside the academy. But if you're somebody that's like, when we end it, it's my friend, like we have to split friends, like you can't talk to them, like we're this, like, and it's going to be awkward, then like maybe that's not a good idea for you. So you just have to tell yourself, like, are you mature enough to handle the situation? If it doesn't work out, you're going to have to see each other, and you're probably going to get paired up and have to train with each other. And I've seen plenty of people be successful in doing that. And I've seen a lot of people have to like leave academies because it didn't work out.
From a dude's perspective, I would say like you don't have this like, oh, we're so in love thing probably the same way. But I would say that like I think guys generally think like, oh, it's fine. Like if it doesn't work out, it'll be cool. It'll be like how things are now. But things are never that way, because then at some point, like, she maybe dates another dude at the academy, and that makes things weird between you and like maybe your best training partner.
Or you date another girl at the academy.
Mm-hmm. And not always. Like sometimes this happens and it's fine. Like that's what I mean by like it depends. But I would just say like as a general rule of saying like I'm going to jiu-jitsu to find a girlfriend, which I don't think many dudes are doing that. But
no, but I think that happens with females a lot, and it's problematic because it bothers me, because if you're not there for the right reasons, I feel like I'm just like, like, especially as a female and a female instructor, I have to like get that out of my head, like being in a leadership position. But if I know that you're there just to meet guys, I'm probably not going to spend a lot of time with you or like give extra effort to you. I'm going to spend like my extra energy into the people that really want to learn jiu-jitsu.
So let me ask you this question. How do you know if someone is not there for like what I would describe as like the genuine purpose of learning jiu-jitsu? Like you get the feeling like they're there to like.
I mean, I think all of us, like, we've seen it before, and you see a girl that comes in and it's like, okay, so there's been instances where there's been two separate instances where I've had these encounters, and this is kind of like good examples of how it's very obvious. And I've had like this mother and daughter came in to train jiu-jitsu, and they wanted to like learn self-defense, but they came in and it's like learn
to protect themselves.
That's what their cover was, okay? But they came in and it's like full makeup, full hair, probably like just like showered and got ready to come to the gym before coming like to train jiu-jitsu. And like I'm not saying that I don't show up to the academy with makeup on. Sometimes it happens because you're out and about, you're at a job and whatever, and you come in, you have makeup on. That's one thing. It's like your daily, but it's like they got like they're going out makeup on and like hair done, like curled and down, and I'm like, what are you trying to do? We're gonna roll around and get sweaty, and that's not really like the best look for that.
So it's just how they're dressed, how they look?
No, and then there's another girl too that would always wear like just a sports bra under her rash guard or under her gi, and she was brand new. And one of the other guys like was like, I think met her, but was like trying to get at it and like introduce her to her. And so like she like would literally go into the locker room and like pull her boobs up to get them all like a maximum amount of cleavage before she'd get out on the mat. And it's just like the way that they act like helpless or like, I don't know. It's like this like, no, that's not.
I won't make you go on describing it, but I know what you mean. I mean, I think there are scenarios in which like it can be obvious that, you know, somebody is maybe not that interested in jiu-jitsu, maybe more interested in all the other people doing jiu-jitsu. I will say this though, we do have the antithesis of that, which I would say is like dudes that just can't leave it alone, meaning like there's dudes that like at jiu-jitsu, like every female that walks in the door,
it's fresh meat.
Yeah.
And they can't stop. What bothers me, like guys are just terrible about that anyway, but it's like professors that take advantage of that too. It's like, because you're in like a position of power, and so like you just are like sleazy about the way that you're like going
situation.
after girls. I don't know.
I've seen people basically say like a professor should never date a student, and I'll stop short of that. But I will say this, like,
I don't think that that's necessarily true.
It shouldn't become like a regular thing if it's the case. Meaning like the person running and teaching the most classes shouldn't be consistently dating students. That doesn't look good. It becomes like systemic.
Yeah.
And then also, like, you have to realize someone is in a position of power. So especially if that's like a move, meaning like, oh, let me give you some private lessons, or like give somebody extra attention. It's like, it's one thing if
you meet early and we can drill before class starts or something, you know, whatever it is.
Yeah, like a romance or relationship can start in a lot of different scenarios. But it, you know, it's just like going to work. Like if your boss is someone that is your boss and they use that as like a way to basically create a relationship with you, then that's not okay.
Where you kind of feel like forced into something, like, or you know, you would do something that you wouldn't necessarily like this person asked you to go whatever, and you wouldn't actually do it if it wasn't in any other normal situation, but because they're your professor or your boss, like you're like, oh, I feel like I have to. But
I would say like the shadiest move that I think is so like it's pretty obvious when there's dudes at jiu-jitsu, but I think like, you know, generally that'll get shut down, especially if like the girl's there to train and like they're like whatever, you know, and I think that gets kind of sorted pretty quickly, you know.
Yeah, I think so.
But it's the dudes that like slide into the DMs after, you know, like practice or something like that. I think that's probably like one of the like most ingenuine ways, because they do it away from the academy where no one else can see.
But it's funny because guys think that they're sneaky and they're not. It's like, girls know what you're trying to get at. Like it's not hidden, your motive.
And I know before you've shared like just different group chats between like girls in jiu-jitsu of like the same guys like hitting on them, or even spitting some really like nasty game, nasty meaning like just like really terrible things that get said, and it's like you act like that's not going to be something that they share with other people.
Yeah, that's true. It's like, just know that what you're sending isn't private. Her girlfriends will know. It's probably in a group message. Screenshot it in a group message. Just saying.
But that being said, like I've known a lot of people that have met at jiu-jitsu or like started dating, because I mean, like realistically, jiu-jitsu is a big part of our lives, you know. And
I'll actually give the advice a lot of times is like, maybe like date somebody from a different academy. Like if you like really want a guy, because I will say this, especially as a female in jiu-jitsu, I think it's very hard to date a guy or that doesn't do jiu-jitsu, because, and just from what I've seen, because this is all I know, you know, so this is all I know.
She's only known dating a guy that is arguably one of the most talented black belts, also married to another black belt in the world.
So weird.
A lot of caveats.
Yeah, but I think it's really hard because it's, you know, you have the jealousy issue with guys getting, you know, girls too, but I see it more with men, where it's like, you're doing what? Like you're rolling around with other guys, like, and they don't want you to do certain things or be, because they're just like get weird about it.
Yeah.
And so, or it's just like they don't understand the dynamic, or like how important jiu-jitsu is to you, or like what it really is. And so, you know, we've had this conversation of just talking to, and we've said that before, it's like just having a conversation with somebody who doesn't train about training is really hard. And so I think dating with somebody who doesn't understand that dynamic can be very hard as well. You brought
up the jealousy thing. This is something that you and I were actually talking about recently, just about how young men in general, there's this like pandemic. Sorry to, I know it's overused.
It's a bad choice of words.
Pandemic of young men. I'm gonna stick with it. Double down. I'm gonna stick with it. This pandemic of young men that basically like have this like jealousy complex, and I think it's really common. And I would say that, you know, I've witnessed it, but I think that there's probably more women that quit jiu-jitsu than what we probably realize, due to the fact they start dating somebody that's very uncomfortable with them doing jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. And
it probably starts out as subtle, and it's something that nobody else around them will ever hear, because it's like little stuff that they say.
Oh yeah. And I mean, it's like you're just not in a good relationship if that's what's happening, but it happens a lot. So I think that I don't know. I mean, I've seen that happen, and actually I've seen a woman like people get divorced over it, and the girl still stayed training for a minute. she wound up quitting eventually, but she was still training.
And I think that, you kind of see it on both ends of the spectrum, because I know, one of the most egregious examples is we had somebody that was like, yeah, my wife's not super into me, or I think it was their girlfriend. I can't remember what it was. But they were like, yeah, my wife's not super into jiu-jitsu. They even get upset if they, see that I'm rolling with Jena, or like that I'm like practicing with Jena. And I'm like, well, it was so bizarre to me, because it's like knowing this person and also knowing that like Jenna's my wife and also like a leader at jiu-jitsu, that it's like, it's such a bizarre thing that someone would ever think like that. But it's like, that's the thing from the outside that people bring in a lot of times. And I think that makes,
and I get it. If you don't know jiu-jitsu, like it's one of those things that's like, okay, that looks like really, you're in some weird positions, and I don't really know that I like you being in those positions with that woman or whatever. But it's like, it's not like that. When you're sparring, you're not thinking about that. You're just rolling. You're fighting. It's like, I'm trying to beat this dude. That's all I'm thinking about. And I'm not, there's no other thoughts. And maybe that's just me. Maybe other people are different. I don't know. I've
yet to hear a normal person say anything different.
Yeah. I mean, you guys can let us know if there's like you're a perv and you.
Please, perverts, let us know.
Please, we'll make a list.
List your address, please. No, it's funny. You and I've mentioned this before. I don't think on the podcast, but there's only been one time ever that I've even been cognizant that I've touched a woman, because I obviously roll with lots of females because I have a lot of experience with it. I encourage
him to roll with the girl. All the girls, I'm like, go roll with my husband. Like, go roll with Tyler. He's a good partner to train with. So there's no jealousy on my part.
He has thin bones like other women.
He's frail like a woman.
But the thing that I think is funny is like there's only one instance ever that I've ever been like, oh, I think I touched her boob. And it was because the woman had gigantic fake boobs. Yeah. And the way I had her back, and she was like, I had
you can't, there's no way you can't,
and then
touch
she trapped my arms, and I was like trying to pull them back, and it just made me rub them more, and I was like, no.
Yes.
I was like
which, by the way, let's just sidebar here. If you are is Cash chewing on that? I see my camera moving. Hold on. The dog, hold on, let me get him. Cash, no, don't chew on that. Here, go get that. Okay, I think I got his toy. Maybe distracted. But sidebar, if you are a man training with a woman and you touch something inappropriately, you grab a boob on accident, things you're like, oh, sorry, didn't mean to. And we all know when it's innocent and when it's not. And so
we do know. For all you women out there grabbing crotches, we always know.
That's the thing. I've accidentally touched a lot of balls on accident. It's not cool, but you just making hard. Just ripping them. No, but don't say anything. Just move on. Unless it's something that
because it makes you uncomfortable.
It just makes it awkward. You don't need to talk about it. I'd rather just keep rolling. Don't stop the roll and draw attention to it.
So what I've been telling all the guys at jiu-jitsu, and you tell me if this is wrong, is if you accidentally touch a woman and you become aware that you've touched her boobs or her butt or something like that, you should go, I'm so sorry about your boobs.
Oh, God. And I knew you were going to be weird, and you're just so good at being creepy. I hate it. It's a gift, but it's not a good one.
So that wouldn't be the best way to handle it.
Just don't acknowledge it. Because it's awkward for everyone involved. I'm just it happened. No big deal. Let's just keep moving on.
I mean, I agree. I mean, I couldn't agree more. I think that, it's not something that ever comes into mind. And even though I hear people on the outside always be like, oh, isn't it weird, blah, blah, blah. If you really train, you realize, it's not weird. And if it is something that's weird for you, maybe don't roll with females. And then the same with females. I mean, something that I think is always good advice that you give in general to women is, don't ever feel like you have to train with somebody that makes you uncomfortable for whatever reason.
It's true.
That can become an ego destroyer. Don't be like, well, I'm not going to train with her or him because it's challenging or something like that. No. I mean, it makes you uncomfortable.
There's somebody that makes you uncomfortable. You don't have to say yes. And I think girls or women get kind of afraid to say no, especially if it's a higher ranking person. It's really hard to say, no, I don't want to train with you. But if there's a certain person that you're just like, I really don't want to train with that person, you definitely should just tell them no, or say, I always would say, like, if you don't feel like just saying, no, I don't want to roll with you, because you don't have to be like really rude about it, but you can just say, oh, I'm going to sit out this round, or I think I'm going to go with point in a direction. You don't even have to say a person. I think I'm going to go with them. Like, they already asked me to go, or, you know, whatever. Just say something else and then find a different partner. But don't put yourself in a situation where you're really uncomfortable or you could get hurt. Because a lot of the times it's like there's certain guys that you just are like, I don't like rolling with them because they are really spazzy and I'm afraid of getting them hurting me because they can't control themselves. And I think it's totally okay, Cash, stop, to say no. Like, you don't have to always just say, yeah, I will roll with you. I don't know.
Yeah,
and I think you just really need to hear that, because there's been tons of times where I'm like, I have rolled with I'm actually, not for me. I've seen other women. I've never had a problem telling people no. Like, I'll just straight up look at them and be like, nah, it ain't gonna happen.
Trust me. But the thing is like, I think, you know, we just brought up a ton of good reasons why you want to date somebody that does jiu-jitsu, but, you know, universally, I think the thing that people are going to struggle with here is basically the fact that it's probably not the best idea to basically date somebody at jiu-jitsu sort of in a serious way, casually, because, or I mean, maybe not serious way either. Saying? I think just generally you're going to basically, like, I don't know, the old adage of like, don't crap where you eat, basically.
Yeah. I don't know. And I mean, for women, I just feel bad because I think it's not fair. It's a stereotype that goes, that's why I guess I'm a little bit more protective of the women that want to start dating inside the academy, because it's like, you just need to be careful of, like, do whatever you do you. Like, I'm not trying to tell you how to live your life or like what to do.
Or shame anybody or anything.
Yeah, or shame you. But it's just like, it bothers me because you see this happen a lot. So women just get like, well, hey, no. He's so sassy.
Anyways,
yeah.
I went and got him a bone, but he like is now chewing at our feet. Hopefully that'll buy us some time.
Yeah. But what I was saying is that, like, women get this reputation of like they get around, and it's like you have this like reputation of you're just a slut and getting passed around the academy, and you know, a lot of girls wind up and there are girls who just like, you know, date everybody in the academy and then move on to another gym, or girls that feel like they have to leave the gym because they've dated guys inside the academy and they don't feel comfortable because people are talking or whatever. But it's like, I think it's an unfair stereotype because it's never said about guys. It's never said about any guy, like, in any scenario. And I think that's not okay. And
I think in a way that also becomes something that can be fairly negative in a lot of ways. And I mean that from the standpoint of, like, realistically, if you're a female and you want to go to a gym and you want to have like relations with multiple guys, different types of relationships, whatever, and like that's just you doing you, and it like, and you can just like live your life, and probably one of the most important aspects of that, basically not create a lot of like problems or drama inside of the academy, then I think that's fine. I've actually seen that not be a problem, but more commonly I see it create problems because somebody almost enjoys the fact that they're gonna be able to create problems. But like you said, you also have people that basically like alienate themselves and then move on to a different gym or something like that. I mean, had experience with that as well. Yeah,
and I don't know. I think at the end of the day, like, only you can decide.
Prevent
like
forest fires.
But only you can decide, like, you know, if it's a good idea to date this person. But, you know, it might be the perfect way to meet your future, like, or your future spouse, or the person that you are, like, your soulmate, your true love, whatever you want to say. Like, it might be the perfect opportunity. So it's like, I say, you don't have to shut that down, but you also I don't go looking for it specifically.
Yeah, I would say
go to jiu-jitsu to learn jiu-jitsu, to better yourself, to do those things, and to meet people and to build relationships. And there's can be like a lot of beautiful things come out of that when you go into an academy with the right intention of just learning and growing as a human.
Totally. And I think, you know, you mentioned it, this is the beginning, and I think it's a good point to reiterate. It's like we know so many couples that basically like know each other because of jiu-jitsu. You know, like you see that prominently like at black belt. Lots of black belts like end up becoming couples because it makes so much sense. But you know, when you start looking at individual academies, most people are not like competing and traveling around the world. And so, you know, you can meet somebody in jiu-jitsu, and there are a lot of different ways to do that. And I think it's, you know, just speaks to the point of like, if you are interested in like, I would like to date somebody else that does jiu-jitsu. Like there's so many ways to like meet people in jiu-jitsu depending on where you live. I mean, there's always open mats, there's seminars and things like that.
I mean, I've been in situations where I'm like, girl, like if you want to date somebody, that's fine, but I got no recommendations at this gym.
But what if they're on a different team, Jenna?
That's fine, but I got no recommendations at this gym. I'm not speaking like my current situation, but in the past there have been times where I'm like, I don't know, girl. I don't know.
These waters are fished out, I think.
Yeah, but I don't know. And that's like another thing too. It's like I see this happen, and this kind of bothers me. And by kind of, I mean it bothers me a lot, where I see women that's like, I need to date a black belt. I need to date, like they start jiu-jitsu and they think the only way that I'm going to get good enough or really good is I need to find myself a higher ranking boyfriend, and that's going to be like what really sets off my jiu-jitsu.
Jenna, it's easy for you to say. You married somebody that was higher ranking than you when you started.
We were both blue belts when we got married. We were the same rank. Okay?
When you started, though, I was a blue belt. Or no, I was a 3-stripe.
You were a white belt when we started. So we were both
3-stripe white belt. 3 stripes. Respect the 3.
I think you got those stripes like after I had already started.
No, I had at least a stripe.
Okay.
At least one.
I mean, yeah. But don't just
and
go
she got her
belts.
But to drive home the point, you got your black belt before I did.
Yeah.
So you didn't need me to be.
I didn't need you. I needed just to be
well,
awesome.
You did. You needed me badly.
I just needed to be
badly
my
needed
awesome
me.
self.
But you didn't need me to be a black belt.
No, and or to be like successful or in jiu-jitsu.
Well, wait a minute.
I don't need you.
You didn't need those things. That just happened to be those things.
I need you, babe.
No, but I think, I mean, it's like a good point. I mean, like just, generally, like if you're dating somebody, like just don't be like, oh, I want to, like, don't chase the rank. Michelle Nicolini, I remember whenever she dated like a blue belt or purple belt, everybody's like, oh, Michelle is dating like a blue belt, purple belt. That dude's good now, but not because he dated Michelle.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Shout out to that guy, that one guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of goes like hand in hand, because I've always said like, you know, when you have, and I've talked about this before, but it's like when you're like, oh, well, they train with that person, so they're going to be really good. It's like, no, they're not that person. The same thing as dating a black belt is not going to make you good.
How many times have you fought somebody's wife and it's like, oh, or girlfriend, and you're like, oh, this is so-and-so's wife or girlfriend, and then it's like, yeah, and then you're like, it's almost like a curse, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I just think I guess it bothers me because it's like, if you were really trying to find a person and you want to date somebody, having, and this is just from my experience, and this is probably just like relationship advice in general, but having like a set list of like, they need to be all of these things is really kind of silly. Like, it's good to be like, oh, they better have a job, they better like have their like it together and like that kind of stuff, but like to say like,
wear a cowboy hat, have a pet crocodile, drive a Ford F-150 96 Ford extended cab pickup truck.
Some of the women that you grew up with, I am assuming. But yeah, like to have those like kind of like superficial like things that you want from like out of a person. It's like, no, like find somebody that you can connect with, that you can have like a friendship with, like where, you know, hanging out with them is easy and you're attracted to them, you have fun with them. It's like, just like, I don't know, like we met and I just like happened, like we started hanging out because of mutual friends, and we kind of were friends for a little bit first, and that's what really like we realized like we had a lot of fun together and we could connect like outside of the group, and that's really what like set up our relationship. And I think that's something that you need to I guess be open to just finding, instead of having like this focus of like I need these things out of a person I want to date. And I did that. I think I did that a lot, where I was like, I thought I wanted all these things and it was a very like superficial thing. But then when I met you, I was like, you showed me everything that I wanted in a relationship that I didn't realize that that's actually what I wanted. No, like not like you as a person, just how you treated me, how you like, how we were connected. Like, I think that was something that I didn't even know was
I mean, I think
realistic.
I think when you're young, you don't really. I generally, that's one of the things we always tell people too, is like, be really careful about getting married when you're young, even though it worked out super awesome for both of us. Like when I see somebody that's older and they, like date somebody for a little while and they immediately start to get married, at least when you're older, I feel like you have a better idea of maybe what you're looking for. When you're young, like you have no clue. You and I, like you were saying, like we were hanging out with friends, like neither of us had any intention of like looking for one another, but it's just like the chemistry between us is like created it. And I think that that's like a good formula at jiu-jitsu as well, because realize if jiu-jitsu is what you have in common, jiu-jitsu is also going to be something that you
fight about a lot.
And so it's a primary thing that we argue about.
I was just talking about this earlier today, but yes, it is probably the biggest fights that we have are about. So start off with jiu-jitsu.
I would say,
and then I get ticky-tacky because I want to throw little pet peeves in, but that's just my personality. I need to be better. And I
would say just most like a lot of our small arguments, or I mean, without even just saying like, oh, well, most arguments we have are about jiu-jitsu, like actual jiu-jitsu, not like larger, like, oh, jiu-jitsu in general, like no, like techniques and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's because like I would just say like it creates more opportunities for us to argue than anything else, because there's a few other things that we both are like kind of experts in, but also have like our own personal opinions and style. And like they're just an area where it's like jiu-jitsu is very personal to you. It's like even if we have like 90% the same techniques, which we don't really.
I don't know. I think a lot of it too comes down to like we just learn differently.
And, that's a big one.
And for me, like for him, like he sees something and he's like, I think I got it. Just the general idea, yes, he has, but the details, and I'm like, no, like they said do this, and it's like the details are different for me, so I get mad when he's not doing it right, and then that's kind of silly. Or just like the way that he's trying to show me something or like correct me on something that I made a mistake and he was trying to fix it, help me, and I'm like, I don't understand, like I can't do that. And it's like he just didn't say it in a way that made sense to me, and then we argue until he says it in a way that makes sense to me, and then I'm still mad, but I can get over it.
One thing we learned in the pandemic is you get frustrated trying to teach me jiu-jitsu, like because almost never in jiu-jitsu have you had to show me so much, because forever it's kind of been the opposite, but now we've been at home and you've been able to pick up so much, just training and stuff like that recently. You've been kind of sharing some with me, and I think you're surprised at like, why can't he do this? And it's like, these are brand new to me. Some of the techniques are brand new to me, so it's like she's just a better learner than me physically. And I think that that's one of the things you have to just get used to in jiu-jitsu as well, is like if you're going to date somebody in jiu-jitsu, realize like that is something that you're going to share, and so it can't be the only thing that you have in common either, because it will be the one thing that breaks you as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Little tip. Pro tip. Going strong though, almost 11 years.
Married.
15
together.
Yeah.
In July.
And like 13 of those got to be doing jiu-jitsu, right? Who's good 13. At math?
I've been doing jiu-jitsu for 13 years.
What is that? You double that, carry 3. It's 20 years? 20 years of jiu-jitsu together. It's amazing. But I don't know. I think that's it. Like, so should you date somebody at jiu-jitsu? I mean, it depends. But like, I would just say if you're essentially just like trying to hunt down something, guy or girl, it's a bad thing.
Just don't be reckless. Don't be reckless. Like, know that there's like, I think the thing that is the hardest is for me is like, I don't want the vibe to get messed up at the academy. So it's like, if you can do your thing and like, you know that like it's not going to mess with like the general vibe of the academy, or like, I don't want to see somebody like have to leave or like leave feeling they need to leave. We used to have a rule in
St. Louis where if you dated somebody and they left, then you had to pay their membership.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
It's a nice rule.
Yeah, it's funny. Even though, like, most of the time it was like they brought them because they were dating.
Yeah, that happens a lot too.
Well, we liked them better than you, so
bring them back.
If you stick around and they leave,
you got to replace it. Got to bring another one in.
Got to get another one.
Yeah, 1 month to get a new girlfriend, get her into jiu-jitsu. So if you're ever at a club and you've got somebody and they're like always trying to talk to you into go to jiu-jitsu, that's why they got bills to pay. I don't have any other advice for you.
I don't either. I hope this has been helpful, or you guys find it interesting, or maybe you guys are just like,
or maybe you're like,
I don't
that
care.
didn't help me at all. I need to know if I'm going to date this dude or a girl, or
go for it,
or Zer.
Okay.
I mean, be fair. Anyways, thanks for joining us on another episode of
Not Fighting.